After you type in the URL meridianfireoperations.com, you're going to arrive at this site. You'll see it's simple, and it really is a place to house our operational documents and to allow us to deliver training. So let's start with the documents. So the SOG, which would be a standard operating guideline. You have a fire SOG, we'll click on that. And what do these SOGs do? So first off, these SOGs are still in development. So when you click on them, it won't go anywhere. But the SOG will answer the question, what do I do with resources on different types of buildings? Of course, we're going to approach a single family fire and the resource, that's easy for me to say, the resource deployment differently than we are on a high-rise fire. And these SOGs will outline how we do that. Now, we'll dive deeper into the SOGs when we go through training about the SOGs as they roll out. Next is crew performance standards. Now, there have been different versions of crew performance standards, but we landed on treating the crew performance standard as what you might receive as an assignment, let's say on an emergency scene. So you see search, water supply, ventilation, forced entry, extrication, etc. In this case, we'll go to fire attack. Let's say that you are on the initial hand line. You could go to this CPS, you see what the objective is, see the tool assignments and who's responsible for what, and then you see what each person's responsibility is in the deployment. From there, there'll be some notes. These notes you could think of as physician pearls that you would find like on the Ada County SWOs. And in this particular one, you'll see sample hose deployments. These sample hose deployments illustrate how the CPS is being used with each positional assignment. Here we see examples of each of our hose loads on the engine. The next set of documents are IPSs, Individual Performance Standards. Now, many of you are already familiar with these because they are what is being utilized in the academies. This is just a place where they're housed now, and so you can click on them. You can go to any of them. It'd be nice because out on the drill ground, you can pull these up on your phone, which has proven to be convenient. But you'll go to the IPS, and again, you've already seen these. Now you might ask, the formatting looks different on these as compared to the CPSs and what you'll see from the SOGs. And that's because these are task-based and they are meant as also to be an evaluation tool. So you'll see a step-by-step sequence, and that's why the formatting on these will be different than something like a CPS. After IPSs, you see resources, and this is in development, but you'll see resources that will assist you with training and really development as a firefighter in the future. JPRs are not shown here. We will add them to the website. There was a committee that was working on refining them, and so those should be showing up on the website within the next few weeks. We move down to 2023 block training. This is where we'll go for our fire training. Now you see 4 blocks here. These blocks are merely placeholders. It doesn't mean that there's going to be 4 blocks worth of training in the year. There may be 9, 10. We're just using these as placeholders. So to go to the training, in this case, block 1, you'd click here. You see block 1, hand line and water supply, and you see a timeline. We say complete it by April 1st. The reason we're having people, we want people to get through this and be proficient at the material by April 1st, because that's when the next block is going to be released. Now, you see block training, and you may think of EMS training where you have to be at at the training center at a specific time. That's not what this block training is about. This is about you doing it as a crew on your own time. You'll see this block purpose kind of describes, again, the purpose of the block. CPSs. So these are the CPSs that are relevant to this block. You haven't seen CPSs in the past. It's really important to us that you get your eyes on them because we are relying a lot on your feedback before we finalize them. So this is going to be the initial handline and additional handline CPS. Again, there will be a venue to get back to your FTOs or your battalion chiefs so you can kind of give us feedback. IPSs, we've already discussed those and you're familiar with those. Jargon, we know what jargon is. It's a common vocabulary, within a trade. In this case, the trade, of course, being firefighting. You can read through that document. It's self-explanatory. Here you see manual. Now there are different training materials that are being utilized to train the academies, and we are taking, where applicable, excerpts out of these training materials to assist with the block training. So you'll be receiving the most up-to-date material. From there, we have videos. Now, these videos are just demonstrations, in this case, of the IPSs. So you can see here, they pop up. We don't need to go through them. But there'll be an opportunity to not only read through the IPS or CPS, whatever the video happens to be on, but actually to see an example of it being done. Now we move down to water supply. This is part of this block, and you can see here, this is pretty bare bones. So some of our blocks will have more content in them when necessary, and some of them, of course, will have less content, as witnessed right here with the water supply block. Now you see all these blocks. Let's go back to the home page. So we go back to the 2023 block training schedule. We see block 1, obviously we've already defined that. Now what does this look like in the course of a year? So we're going to have multi-company drills, and they'll be based on these blocks. Our next multi-company drill will be more than likely in mid-May, and it will be based on block 1 and block 2 and the content that's within each block. So really what we're asking for is that you have proficiency on the materials within each block, and you'll get an opportunity to test that proficiency when you get to the multi-company drill. Now, the multi-company drill is not meant to be punitive. It's just simply an opportunity to test out what you have learned for yourself, really, in the previous blocks. But you can think of the blocks like a preload. You'll have all the information necessary, and then you'll get a chance to practice those skills in a multi-company drill. Lastly, the question is, how do we enter in this training? Well, first off, there's no checkboxes. All that we're asking is that you are proficient at the material that is delivered in each block training, and whatever time you spend working on it, you record it as you would normally record your training. So if you went through some of the documents, say you spent an hour, you could go to single company drill, go to MFD 2023 single company drills, write in the description the amount of time you spent and enter in your crew. Now, I don't like going through this method because if I have multiple trainings, I have to enter in my crew separately each time. So let's back out of here. The other way you can do it is you can go to record completions. You can type in MFD 2023. And all the buckets are available right here. The nice thing about doing this is you only have to enter your crew in one time. So in this case, I would come here, I would say, we did a single company drill, enter in the crew, of course hit continue, and then the same thing applies. Enter in the training, the amount of hours, of course the unit involved, and then record as complete. So either way you enter your training is fine. Ultimately, you're just entering the training or the amount of time you've spent just like you would any of your other training.